but I don't think we should do this anymore. And I just wanted to tell you that in person. He was like, no, I think there's somebody else. I was like, I'm not here to convince you otherwise. I know my truth. I was like, and I know that I'm just going through a lot. And you can't even have the respect to be like, you know what, you are going through a lot. I understand. I was like, so we're not going to do this no more. I just thought I'd come here and tell you in person that this is it. When I was telling him this, I looked over and he was puffing his chest. He was like, low-key kind of got scared. And I'm on that new vibration. I'm building my own foundation. Oh, baby, you won't break my soul. You won't break my soul. You won't break my soul. Hey guys, what is up? It's your favorite Storytime YouTuber, your girl Mariah, coming back with you guys with another story time. This story time is going to be about the time that I dodged having a little prison inmate boyfriend. So, if you guys are interested in hearing about the time that I swerved and dodged having a crazy, violent prison boyfriend, then just keep on watching, girl. Also, too, before I get into it, y'all know my weekends are my work weekends. I work long shift Thursday. I work 12-hour shift Friday. I'm up from like 5 in the morning to like 2 in the morning on Saturdays. And on Sundays, I have to be up early because now my girls are in sports. So I am very tired. I didn't get the opportunity to take a nap today. So if it seems like you can see it in my eyes, I'm tired, absolutely right, girl. I am very tired, but we got to get this video done. For certain reasons that I don't want to get into, I prefer not to say the time era that this took place. I will say that I was working at a restaurant. I had been there for a while. I was a little bit older than the individual that we're going to be speaking of. This person, we're gonna name him Jake Ryan. So Jake Ryan was a cook. Like I said, I was a little bit older. I was probably like a few years older than him. But I, for some reason, was super attracted to him. I think some of the reasons why I was attracted to him was because he was like the cool, quiet, mysterious guy. And I usually go for those kind of guys, the ones that are quiet, no one pays attention to, the ones that are like cute, but you're gonna miss him because he's not the one that everyone thinks is fine. And then he turns out to be like super goofy, super funny, and like has all this depth to him. That's the kind of guy that I go for. He was that kind of person that was always on the grill in the corner, just minding his business. He'll laugh at a joke here and there. You'll get a little chuckle out of him, or you'll get him being polite and taking the trash out for you and stuff, but you weren't gonna get any kind of attention or conversation from him. That drew me in absolutely the most. I had a close friend at work. You know, you got your work bestie, and we're gonna name this girl Trish. There was another cook that worked there, and we're gonna name him Matt. Trish and Matt were dating. Jake Ryan didn't have a car, so he was like literally walking everywhere, or he would get rides from like friends or random people, or whoever was closing with him, they would offer him a ride as far as the cooks. Sometimes Matt would take Jake Ryan home. I was always talking to Trish about how much I had this big crush on Jake Ryan. She always told me go for it, talk to him. Now, I would flirt with him. I would make little passes and advances and stuff at him, and he wouldn't ever say anything that made me think he was uncomfortable with it or anything. He actually fed into it. He would just kind of chuckle, and he would just smirk at me and smile at me. Like, I could kind of tell he was attracted to me some, but he didn't let me know all that much. One day I noticed that he's starting to talk to me more, and like he's starting to actually start little conversations here and there. So I mentioned to Trish, I was like, have you noticed that like Jake Ryan's starting to kind of talk to me? She's like, well, the other day Matt told me when me and Matt were hanging out that Jake Ryan mentioned to him that somebody, she goes, and it wasn't me, girl. She's like, but somebody brought up the fact that you may have a crush on him. And I was like, who told him that? She's like, it wasn't me. I was like, do you think Matt told him? And she goes, probably, because me and Matt are together all the time, and he knows. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody knows that you have a crush on him, but maybe somebody brought it up to him. That's the only thing that I can think of. She's like, so I don't know, entertain it, girl. Like, you've been wanting him. So I was like, I was scheming, because this was like my scheming phase, okay? And I was like, okay, I'm closing with him more often than not. I noticed that sometimes Matt couldn't take him home or any of the other cooks. And I was like, I'm gonna wait until the opportunity when that comes up and I'm gonna offer him a ride home. Sooner than later, that opportunity did open up and I was able to take him home. The first time that I took him home, we were like joking and he opened up to me a little bit more. I think it was the fact that we were in private and there was nobody around. He felt comfortable. But I took him to this house that was in the neighborhood right next to the restaurant that we worked at. And this house was right behind the police station of that neighborhood. I remember seeing the house and I was like, okay, like, is this your house? This is where your family lives and stuff? And he was like, yeah, like that's my place. He's like, I'm staying there, like that's my house. And it started becoming a thing that I was always taking him home. Then before we knew it, from me always taking him home, it moved forward to us hanging out all the time after work, sitting in my car, listening to music, just talking, vibing, kind of seeing each other, like kind of dating. We eventually obviously get each other's number. We text. Now, his texts weren't very giving. We're giving dry. Like, it would be one word here and there. Just some background context of Jake Ryan. So the people that we worked with, some of them went to school with Jake Ryan. And when I would talk to them after the cat was out of the bag, right? Say the girls that went to school with him, they would tell me that Jake Ryan was super quiet. Like, prior to this, I didn't know who Jake Ryan was, but they did. And they would say he was super quiet, that he didn't really ever have a girlfriend. They remember probably he had like one girlfriend out of like all 4 years of high school. And nobody ever really knew him to be a hooker. I had to do my little digging. I had to get my little background information and stuff because his Facebook didn't have a whole lot for me to go off of. I had to figure out like who he was, you know? And he is very mysterious. I always had this feeling like he was hiding something, like there's other stuff that I should know. They tell me that he's not like a player. He's not the kind of like other females talk to anybody. And so I just try to fill him out for myself. I started seeing that he's a little closed off. Like, he was open to me flirting with him. He was open to us making out. He was open to like holding hands and stuff and like, you know, having our little makeout sessions in the car or whatever. But as far as like maybe taking things a step forward to the next level and like really being affectionate, really being like touchy, always hanging out, going on dates and stuff, never really initiated that. I was the one who was initiating it. And if we, for some reason, were hanging out a day that we didn't work together, I was the one bringing it up. I was like, can I go see you? I was the one bringing up the conversations through text. I was the one doing everything. I noticed he was a little dry and it didn't really seem like he was all that interested in me. It seemed like I was someone just to pass the time with for him. I started seeing him that way too. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give up on my hopes and dreams of like being something with this dude. And I'm just whatever. I'm still gonna actively be in this situationship, I guess. Like, I don't see him as a boyfriend anymore. I was seeing him as someone to have fun with and just to kind of like entertain and like flirt with and like pass the time with. I guess you could say maybe like a boy toy. We're seeing each other more frequently. I remember this one specific time I wanted to pop up on him. I was in the area and I was like, let me just swing by and see if he'll come outside, you know, because I knew he wasn't working that day. I drove up to his house and I'm texting him and I'm like, hey, I'm at your house, like, if you want to come outside and stuff. He's not responding to me. So I tried calling him and he didn't answer. So I was like, I'm sitting out there. I noticed there was a truck out in the front of that house that I always drop him off at. From what I knew, from what he told me, because every time we got into his family situation, his home life, he would definitely steer the conversation away and he would try to just like kiss me or try to get intimate for us to not talk about his stuff. But from what he did tell me was that he lived there with his mom, his stepdad, and his sister. I don't remember if he had other siblings. I thought that's all who lived there. And when I pulled up this day, there was an older man that walked out of the house. At this point, I've already been sitting out in front of his house for like 15 minutes and I'm like, he's not answering. I roll my window down and I'm like, hi, excuse me. And he's looking at me like, who the hell are you? But he ends up like walking up like, yes. So I was like, hi, is Jake Ryan home? And he was like, who? So confused. And I was like, Jake Ryan. And he goes, who? I thought he was joking with me. And I was like, Jake Ryan? And I was like, Jake Ryan lives here, right? He goes, I'm sorry, I don't think anybody lives here by that name. He was like, I don't know who that is. And I was like, do you live here? He looks at me like, how dare you ask that? And he goes, yes. And I was like, I've been coming here and seeing Jake Ryan, like we're friends and we've been hanging out. I was like, he lives here, I bring him here. He goes, oh, he was like, I've been staying here with family. He might be my cousin's friend. And I was like, okay. I didn't want to pry too much in that information that he gave me. I just kind of dismissed it for whatever reasons. But I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, if you see Jake Ryan, can you tell him that his friend came by? And he goes, yeah, sure. And he like looks so confused about the whole thing. Again, didn't see the red flag at all for whatever reason. Thought it was weird, but Jake Ryan finally reaches out. He goes, oh, hi, I'm sorry, I was taking a nap. I felt like he was lying to me, but I was like, he's not my boyfriend, so like I really can't get mad, whatever. After that day, he tells me that I can no longer go see him at that house. He was like, my dad got mad the other day when you came by and we can't hang out in front of the house anymore, so you can come pick me up, but we're gonna have to like hang out somewhere else or down the street, or we can hang out at the park down the street or whatever. Okay, that's weird. Never was invited in the house, and like I couldn't sit outside on the front porch. Like it was a little odd, but for whatever reason I didn't pry too much into it because he wasn't my man. Remember, I started seeing him as like someone to pass the time with, so I didn't really care. There was one time we were in the park, so it's like 11 o'clock at night. I remember we were getting entangled. Everything happened in my car. Dates, our hanging out, our conversations, our entanglement, if you know what I mean. We were in my car. We were nearby a police station, and one of the cops pulled up and was like, you guys need to get put together and go home. I was relieved that I didn't get a ticket or nothing, but I felt like he was like putting me in situations that I shouldn't be in. I know now looking back it's my fault, but in this moment, like I was getting real turned off by, I like you enough to come and see you, and I don't want to say you're making me, but in this moment I was thinking like this, like he was making me act out of character. That was turning me off a bit, because I was just like, now you got me out here getting caught by the cops and stuff, like and I didn't really know too much about like trespassing past park times and stuff like that. I thought you can go to the park at any time. I didn't know up until then that you can't do that. I was like, you're getting me in trouble and stuff. Even more reason after that, I started seeing him as something not so serious. Something happened in my life to where I just kind of took a break from like hanging out with anybody and talking to anybody, even him. I kind of stopped seeing him for like a week and a half. At this point, we both were not working at that restaurant anymore. He got fired and I ended up quitting. We were just kind of seeing each other when we could. A week went by. I don't really know what like clicked for him to start acting odd. Remember how I mentioned that he was a dry texter and he wouldn't really initiate conversation? He didn't really know how to carry conversation that well over text. I started noticing that he was texting me more, and prior to this, he never gave me pet names. He never called me baby, babe, mama, sweetheart, or like nothing. The next week came and he was repeatedly texting me back to back to back almost every day for like 3 days straight. Babe, why don't you come and see me? Babe, where have you been? Babe, call me. Then he starts calling me back to back to back, and I was getting the ick like no other. I was like, oh, like he's coming off real desperate. Ew. Like it wasn't even like a cute desperate. It wasn't like a like dang, like you know, like I really miss it, like come see me, stop playing with me. Like it was nothing like that. No room for me to like respond really, or no room for me to like build up the anticipation. It wasn't a good interest in. Turned me off completely. He was calling me while I was at work. He was calling me while I was busy, and I was like, I really need to tell him in person that we can't do this anymore. I need to break it off. I hit him up and I'm like, hey, I want to go see you. I was like, are you free tomorrow, whatever? He was like, yeah, but you can't come to my house. I guess you could meet me at the park. So I go to the area, I drive to the park, and I see he's sitting there, and this boy looks almost homeless. He has his hair grown out, He has his beard full. He looks like a bum. He was wearing a gray hoodie. Yeah, not it. Like, I pull up and he gets in the car and he's like, hey babe. And he tries to kiss me. And I was like, kind of like swerved him. He was like, are you okay? And I was like, we need to talk. And he was like, I was gonna say, I've been seeing this coming. And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, is it someone else? Like, you've been seeing someone else or what? And I was like, first of all, I am not your girl. If it was the other way around, I can care less. You've already been turning me off for like a whole week already. So even if I am not your girlfriend. I wasn't rude. I wasn't disrespectful. I told him, I was like, no, there's no one else. I was like, I'm just going through a lot right now. And at one point I really did like you. But since I've been going through this, you have yet to be there for me. You have yet to comfort me. When I came and saw you the day that all this took place, all you wanted to do was hook up. And my mind wasn't there. Like, I was not there. I was devastated. You didn't even like try to console me or nothing. I was like, you claim to like me like that, but I'm starting to see, truthfully, you're just a little bit emotionally immature for me. I don't want anything to do with anybody, but I really don't want anything to do with you in that kind of aspect. We could be friends. I was like, but I don't think we should do this anymore. I just wanted to tell you that in person. He was like, no, I think there's somebody else. And I was like, you could think that all you want to. I'm not here to convince you otherwise. I know my truth. I was like, and I know that I'm just going through a lot. And you can't even have the respect to be like, you know what, you are going through a lot. I understand. I was like, so we're not gonna do this no more. I just thought I'd come here and tell you in person that this is it. When I was telling him this, I looked over and he was puffing his chest. Like, he was like getting mad. And I low-key kind of got scared. Like, is he gonna like choke me out right here? I asked him, I was like, you good? He was just like, yeah, I'm good. And I'm just like, okay. He was like, all right, well, see you later. And I was like, okay, cool, bye. Gets out of my car, slams the door, takes off walking, not in the direction where the house is at, just like somewhere off. And I was just like, where is this guy going? Like, why is he walking off to the other neighborhood? Whatever, that's not my business anymore. Years later, Trish randomly calls me up and she goes, hey girl, how are you doing? Da, da, da. We kind of like have some small talk. And she goes, okay. She goes, I want to tell you, like, I know you're not talking to Jake Ryan anymore. She's like, but have you been on Facebook? And I was like, nah, actually I haven't been on Facebook in a minute. Why? And she goes, there's an article going around about Jake Ryan. She goes, I'm gonna send you the link. And I was like, okay. She goes, I'm gonna be on the phone with you and I want you to open it. And I was like, okay. She sends it to me, I open it. Y'all, this man ends up locked up. He got arrested and was sentenced to prison for like potential manslaughter, something like that. Coming back to the whole house and living situation with him. Apparently, based off from the article that I read, he already had issues and there were already reports of violence in the home from when he was a teenager. I mean, something about him and his stepdad always getting in physical altercations. It said in the article that this wasn't the first time that the police were contacted out to that home. His stepdad used to put his hands on him a lot. And it said that his dad used to put his hands not only on him, but also on his sister. So he would stand up to his dad for his sister, and him and his dad would get physical. His mom and his dad kicked him out when he was of age. And that's why he was living, like, I guess, with people. That house ended up being a friend's house. And I guess because him being in the house was giving too much attention to the house, and I was always there, they kicked him out. So he went to go stay with another friend. So he was just kind of couch hopping everywhere. From everything that I put together, that's basically what happened. There was a day that I'm assuming maybe he went to go back to the house or try to go live with them, or I don't know what, but he got into it with his stepdad. It got so rowdy that they both were in really bad condition, but he left his stepdad in critical condition. His stepdad was rushed off to the hospital because he grabbed a hammer and hit his stepdad on the head with the hammer, gushed open his head, and he stabbed his dad 7 times in his torso. I was like, oh my gosh, Mariah. Whatever, I understand he may have had some home issues, but he was real life, like, crazy. And that day that he was sitting there, like, when I was trying to break it off with him, like I saw his hands like getting in a fist, and I really thought he was gonna choke me. I don't know what it was, but I kept seeing that he was like I don't know if I was reading his energy. I don't know what it was, but I was like, this man is gonna like choke the crap out of me right now. He went to prison for stabbing his dad and hitting him on the head with a hammer. I was like, I was saved by the Lord. I dodged a big bullet, girl. I dodged a rocket from a rocket launcher. I was like, there was a reason why I was getting the ick and I was getting turned off by him. But like, bro, this goes to show that you never know who you're getting involved with, girl. I hope you guys enjoyed this story. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that notification bell for next time I post your favorite story times, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.